day after Record Store Day, I came down here to Silver Platters in Linwood because my daughter and I got my wife the same variant of the Taylor Swift record, the new one. And I'm going to see what other Record Store Day stuff they might still have in stock. Day after Record Store Day. So this is the guy that was helping me. He was really great. I enjoyed his company, and he seemed to really appreciate what he does and helping people with music. Some of the folks in record store employees aren't as passionate. But this guy was great. And he was trying to find that record, and it wasn't there. Looked through a couple of different places. And there's only 2 variants they had, but he did find another one that comes later. But super helpful guy. Still had some Mudhoney box sets, which I didn't pick up because they're like $130. That, and it's the reprise years, and you watch the documentary, they weren't too happy about that. Willie Nelson stuff. So he brought me this one. This is the beige one. And I said, my wife she was talking about the black one, so we'll wait for that. That and the cool charcoal. I don't know if that's an indie record store day thing, but check this out. Also, hold on, pause, pin in that. $50 for the Pearl Jam album. It's a good album, I'll be honest. I listened to it. That's one of those. It's kind of... Anyway. Pearl Jam, like the album, don't like the price of the vinyl. Joe Strummer, that was tempting, but $40. I don't know if I like Joe Strummer $40 as much. Replacements were more of a... The 7 Dust one, that was going to be out there too, so I wasn't too worried about that. Going back to the 4 Taylor Swift variants, my wife wanted the dark one, black one, and he was telling me that, I don't know if this is an indie record store day thing, but there's Iggy Pop. I mean, come on. Cool, but it was 2005. Anyway, Taylor Swift's, the black one, is on a like charcoal black swirl on the vinyl. Again, so there was a pre-record store day one and a post-record store day one, and they're both around $50 for the new Pearl Jam album. I picked this up, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, and I saw that. It's not a picture disc. It doesn't sound like garbage. I'm going to check it out and see how it sounds, but it sounded promising. There's that Bon Jovi. I have this Bon Jovi box set that I found at a thrift store for like $3. Was it $3 or $1.50? It might have been half off that day. It was cheap, but we really liked it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got a bunch of missing stuff that, stuff that it's all there. There'll probably be record store day stuff. Bon Jovi should have talked to his people and just released kind of like that Ramones record, just Sire out, right? All right, so my post record store day purchases. I got a CD too, and headed out. Back home, stretching the legs on the G6 here. So the issue with the G6 here has been the transmission. I drove it here to Linwood from Everett, which is not that far. I don't want to drive it a whole lot because, yeah, it's not acting right. But why cars and records, you ask? Mazzy and I got into this conversation yesterday. Rock and roll in cars, cool muscle cars, whatever, have always been a thing. Also, my love for music and life as a younger guy living in rural Snohomish County up here, I had to get a car. And I didn't have a lot of money, so I bought my first car for $200 from a notorious cocaine dealer. True story. Yeah, he sold me a Olds Cutlass 72 with a smashed front end. It still ran and everything. The radiator was held in by 2x4s. I drove this thing around, but yeah, it needed work, obviously. And in order for me to like just even get away far enough, where I mean, I'd walk miles to this place called Smoky Point. But back then, it was just a strip mall and a grocery store that had a few video games. My mom owned a dry cleaners at the time, and we had the arcade. So she had a couple pinball machines. She had a Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Defender, I believe it was. It was back, you know, 80s, mid 80s, about 85. There's a lot of cow fields and stuff up there, and just not a lot to do. So you get my point. If I was going to get into the city, if I was going to meet girls and go to parties and things like this, I needed to get a freaking car running. And the cooler the car, the better, right? So, yeah, I sold the Cutlass and got a Monte Carlo, blue Monte Carlo, 350 engine. It wasn't very fast. This 6-cylinder front wheel drive 3.9 is way faster than that 350 carbureted Monte Carlo, very heavy, kind of boat-like car. Still cool. I put air shocks on it so the back end would sit up like a Hot Wheel. I did that. It's rock and roll, man. Rock and roll in cars. It's just a thing. It's always been a thing. Cream Magazine did a thing on cars and rock and roll.
We really didn't want to just be an ordinary magazine. We wanted to be a window into the world of the stars.
Oh, Stars Cars is super fun. All your favorite people with their cars that maybe they actually drive and maybe they don't.
They were never so revealed as when they were standing next to their car, because in true Michiganese, you are your car.
I remember the Ramones. At the time, you know, Pintos were famous for blowing up. One of the other ones I remember was Ace Frehley, around the time of Alive.
I think it's silver or blue, Cadillac Seville.
I shot a couple of pictures for the Stars cars and shot Devo getting onto a bus.
Joe Perry had one that was really the funniest one. I didn't take the picture, but he had totaled, I think, a Porsche or Ferrari, some like really fancy car, and he posed by the wreck, and that was the Stars in Their Cars feature for him.
Jeff Beck was a mechanic. Like, Jeff Beck didn't just collect cars and have cool cars. He actually built cars. That's a sad, losing Jeff Beck. He's just an amazing guy. Guitar player and wrencher, Jeff Beck. Miss this a lot. I got to get the transmission fixed. So it runs, the transmission works, like it goes into drive, but it doesn't, drive doesn't want to work. But it's got a manual on the side here, and the manual works. So if I run the gears, I can drive this car. I can drive it on the freeway, I can drive it everywhere. But for whatever reason, just, I think it's the governor in the transmission, and it's like internal, so it's going to be expensive because they're more than likely going to have to pull the transmission. And this being a front-wheel drive car, that's expensive. Reverse, but if I'm going to put it, I can't put it in drive. I can put it in drive. It just makes a horrible sound. Put it in M1, so manual 1. Turn off the headlights. And yeah, I mean, it's a quirky car. I bought this car for $2,500. And it's sharp, man. It's a rare car. It's a convertible coupe. Get the reflection. So this is a fun car. It's fast for a 6-cylinder, but it's not too fast to get me in too much trouble, like that Camaro I rented to drive to the coast. I still have some videos on that coming up soon too, and I can't do the camera and drive the car because yeah, we're only in M1. But yeah, my wife and I miss this car. We're behind on taxes. We got to fix the G6 here, and we're going to start having to put our record money into savings and apply some delayed gratification, right? My wife didn't come with me record store day. She's more level-headed about these things, I think, you know, the finances and stuff, and she still loves records and had a few things, right, that she wanted, but was like, I don't know. She goes, we're just going to spend more money if I go. And we both like the same kinds of music. I like Taylor, but, you know, listening to this new album, though, I'll say this. And you watch, there's all these YouTube channels and these young women sharing their feelings and thoughts. And it's very, this newer album, like, as she matures, it's getting more Bob Dylan-like. I said it. Is Taylor Swift this generation's Bob Dylan? As an artist, as a poet, as a songwriter? In the comment section, would love to hear from you about that. Just some thoughts while I need to shift. I gotta go. Uh-oh, clouds are starting to thicken. It is supposed to rain today. Put the top back on it. Thought it was gonna rain. Thought I parked in a kind of a gnarly neighborhood and didn't want someone to steal my records earlier. I believe Dana is currently inside watching Taylor Swift's new album reaction videos.
Oh, wow.
It's funny that I came home and you're watching, Dana's watching these women cry listening to Taylor Swift records. But there was that one with the guys too. There was some guy in Britain who was also like in tears listening to the new record. But it really did have me thinking about Bob Dylan, like the way his artistry and the way he told stories. And I couldn't imagine being a celebrity or artist in this day and age. I can't even imagine someone in middle school or high school in this day and age of social media. It must be nuts. Post record store day haul. All right, so there's one that was it was on my record store day list. It was a 7-inch and it was for a fundraiser that Dave Grohl and some guys from Anthrax, right, were doing. And they covered one of the Bad Brains songs, and that was unavailable. I think it was, nobody had it here in the Seattle area at all that I saw or asked about. But I found this while I was there at Silver Platters. That is Bad Brains Rock for Light. It's on the Punk Note label there. Wait, yeah. Punk Note. Heard of Blue Note, but that's something else entirely. This is a comp of different shows and live stuff, and just really good music. A little reggae punk from the Bad Brains folks. The fundraiser for HR was that he has a neurological disorder. He needs like surgery and medical attention here in the United States, where, you know, we have a messed up, very capitalist, you know, medical situation going on here. So you got to pay, and so they were trying to raise money because he's having like crushing headaches. HR, the guitarist of Bad Brains, just really painful headaches as a result of his disorder. So I don't know if it helps, but I picked this up. I'll look for a GoFundMe. Hopefully there's something. The punk community coming through. So I got this, you know, I hemmed and hawed about it, and I'm a Rolling Stones fan. I've seen a lot of scratchy copies of this, and they're usually expensive, even the scratchy ones. I've passed on a few scratchy copies because those copies were just loved a little too hard previously by a previous owner for me. And this is a great sounding record. This record sounds amazing. Again, put it on the turntable and the sound is awesome. It came in a poly sleeve. So did that Bad Brains record. Came in that poly sleeve. This has got like paper around it, the poly sleeve. But look at the wax. It's like this cool dark blue marbly thing, and on the Decca label, it is it's weird that, you know, now that I know a lot of that blues music, you know, from back in the day. And I remember hearing this album when I was a kid and going, wow, that's cool. That's a really good album. Oh, it came with this too. I think I used to have this album. I don't know what happened to it, but because I remember this insert. And it's like kind of like you could knock them out or whatever. This is a lithograph. It's neat. And it's a good day. This is our debut album. Great debut album from 1964. But it's cover songs, you know. It's like they did a lot of Dixon cover songs. Even a Chuck Berry cover song. A lot of different stuff in here. I like it though. It's a great album, and I'm glad I have it in my collection as a Rolling Stones collector. Who I might still have it in the basement somewhere. My original, God knows what repress that one I have is, but it doesn't sound as good as this one. Made in the Czech Republic. This is numbered as well, so that's pretty cool. I recommend it if you're a Stones fan. Maybe you have a shabby copy. Lots of clicks and pops. And maybe a skip. That's why it would be in the basement. Anyway, what else did I get there at Silver Platters? I showed this, me picking up this record. Boom, Dark Side of the Moon. I know a lot of people are showing this off. It sounds amazing. Amazing. Quiet parts sound quiet. This record sounded incredible for a picture disc. It's not a picture disc for reals though. Only one side has got the image printed on it. Not your average picture disc, all right? I put this on. The quiet part sounds quiet. I like that, you know? When you buy a new record and you drop the needle, you hear the initial needle drop, but then it's just quiet, and then the track starts. Like that's a good sounding record. Just, you know, out of the gate, that record's probably going to sound pretty dang good because of that alone. And as a, you know, picture discs, usually you drop the needle and they go, you know what I'm saying, right? It's just, picture discs don't sound. This was done differently. So the picture's on one side and the music's on the other side. The music's on the A side, the picture's on the B side, and it's 2 LPs for the one album. And it was expensive, but you know, I only have one copy of Dark Side of the Moon. That's an original old first press. It's got some clicks and pops, but it's got depth to it, man. It sounds really good, even though it's old. And it's well loved. It's a little beat, but it sounds, it's near and dear to my heart when I put that record on. But this one is it an audiophile record? I mean, it sounds amazing. This record, wow, sounds amazing. What they did, I mean, this should be kind of a, right? The new standard for your picture discs. All right.
The next day.
How do you afford your rock and roll lifestyle?
Here we are, right by the Red Slug Bug, Lake Union, the Lake Union. Working in a houseboat neighborhood. This should be interesting. Wow. It's like Venice. I'm a gig worker handyman trying diligently to find out why this outlet didn't work, and went through a bunch of junctions, even went through the main box, and I actually couldn't figure it out. I usually do 90% of the time, but not this time. The scaly siding is cool. what's this? Clouds burning off. Blue sky. Fixed a fire hazard antique wiring here, put up a light fixture, and off to lunch.
Now, how do you afford your rock and roll lifestyle? How do you
And a nice stop by Dick's Burgers. It's our Seattle local independent chain. Yep, here in Seattle, if somebody tells you to eat a bag of Dick's, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Good old Dick's Burgers, man. I got like an hour between gigs. So the Doors record was on my list, but it was kind of spendy. And I thought to myself, you know, that's a lot, over 60 bucks, but it is 3 LPs. And after that last job I just did, I got like a $40 greasy french fries. I got a $40 cash tip. So I'm a gig worker. I do like handyman stuff. Put up a light fixture, put up a couple towel racks, and she was so grateful I did this so quickly that she gave me an extra $40 cash, which is gonna go to my record habit. I don't know. I'm gonna stop by Jive Time because yeah, my new friend Joey there said, you know, don't forget about Jive Time, man. See if I can, what are the odds that they would still have the Doors record? Silver Platters didn't have it. Again, the only place I did see it was Royal Records. So, I don't know.
And how much will he pay for a brand new guitar, one which he'll ruthless?
All right. Good work, donkey. It's Monday. Okay. Gorgeous Cascade Mountains. That's right, the Doors live 1968 September. I was born in 1968. So when this record came out, 3 months old and some change. That's how old I was when this album was released. And does it sound amazing? You know, it sounds all right. I think there's 3 LPs, all right, and this was kind of expensive. I got a cash tip too. She gave me like a $40 tip, and I'm like, well, I gotta go get the record now. I did have to put out money, but it was just like, you know what? The universe wants me to have this record. I get all woo-woo on you. But, yep, went down there to Jive Time, and they happened to have this. I was like, oh, yes. And they took Apple Pay, because I actually forgot my wallet that day. Sometimes I forget my wallet when I go to work. And Apple Pay, it's like, I can't not spend money, because I have an Apple phone and Apple Pay. So, but how does it sound? Okay, back to how does it sound. The beginning of it, disc 1, Morrison's vocals are a little raspy, and at first I'm like, oh, it really? You know, all the instruments and everything sounds good. The crowd sounds good. There's a little bit of, you know, him talking in the record, and you know, it's sort of like you ever go to a show and the guy at the dial, you know, they haven't dialed the band in very good yet, and by like the 3rd or 4th song in, they start to get it tweaked to where it sounds pretty good. That's sort of how this record is. Does it sound good? It sounds like a live show where that happened. But it's one of those shows where the band was just on, right? Like this was recorded at one of those like rare times, and Morrison, the whole band was just on. I don't know if it's a competition thing or what, but they seem to be doing their thing on this and doing it well. Light My Fire is on here like twice. I don't know. Is that because of drugs? I'm not sure. But, you know, and then the end, this is the end. It takes up all of the last side 6. It's like 16 minutes long. There's another like a 12 or 14 minute long Wake Up and Light My Fire are the only 2 songs on side 5. So it's just really good, you know. Of course, Love Street, a lot of people were talking about that. It's like the first time that's on a live record, so Love Street is the 3rd track on side 1. It's about when they start, you know, turning it down. Because Morrison likes to yell a lot, wow! You know, and some of that high frequency just shattered a little bit on there. But other than that, I'm glad I got it. I'm a big Doors fan and collector, and I like Doors. I'm not a completist. There's a lot of stuff out there, but just being record store day and limited, exclusive to a certain amount of copies, and I was very satisfied to get that. So, I mean, you know, I'll do another video later on how the other ones sound, but those 2, yeah, that's how they sound. That Rolling Stones record sounds really good, and it's a good record, and I'm glad I own it. Thanks for watching. Comment below if, you know, anything resonates. Subscribe, like, and subscribe. If you could like the channel, that would be great. If you don't like the channel or like this video, you probably wouldn't be watching anymore, first of all. Second of all, you should just keep that to yourself. Peace. Hope everybody's well, and thanks for watching. Here's a little bonus content for you. How's that? Later. This is my daughter and her partner Tracy. This is their new vehicle that they just purchased. It's a Honda CR-V. Dad's a mechanic, so this is one of those cars that come into the shop and yeah, they last forever. It's called a forever car, by the way. There's a handful of cars that make it routinely 200,000 miles and better, and this is on that list. So these vehicles are great, tend to run forever. It's you know, it's not her Jeep, but it is high up off the ground enough. It's a crossover, you know, So you're not like in a car where you're low to the ground like the G6 over there. You're kind of up, almost like a truck, sort of, kind of. A safety thing. You see better with these vehicles. But pollen is a thing right now. My allergies are killing me. I just washed the G6 the other day and it's already covered freaking pollen. Pollen. Ugh. Ugh. But yeah, Honda. Rock on. Lots of houseboat communities in Seattle. Very cool. Be fun. I don't know. Seems like a lot of maintenance keeping one of these things afloat.